Hello everybody. Welcome to 2018. Today we're going to be doing the Astrology, Kabbalah, and Numerology of the month of January 2018. Before I talk about that, I want to just briefly talk about the universal year. The universal year is, this year is an 11 vibration. And last year, of course, we were in a 10-1 vibration. And I just want to go over that just briefly. This was the card associated with that vibration, the Wheel of Fortune, meaning a change in fortune. And certainly there were plenty of changes of fortune within the year of 2017. And yet, the real core of this card is about staying centered within the ups and downs of life, and the need to understand that there are times when you'll be at the top of the heap and there'll be times when you're at the bottom of the heap, but you won't be there forever. And so there is a cyclical nature to life, and that's something we needed to kind of come to an understanding with and stay poised within our own energy system. 10-1 is the 1 and the 0, which is the God force. So we were divinely protected through that. Okay, so now we go into 2018 and we move into an 11 vibration. And an 11 vibration is a master spiritual teacher vibration. It is it raises the vibration of the 1 to a higher level. And so we have this card with that particular vibration, and this we have the Justice card, and this is about cosmic justice. And so there will be a lot of legal issues this year, and perhaps some resolution to some legal issues as well. And this really is about cosmic justice. It's not always within our power as people to bring justice to a situation, and yet there certainly is the ability of the universe to balance the scales, and we will be seeing a lot of balancing of the scales in 2018, which will require us especially to sort of take on 2018 from a more balanced perspective. More difficult to keep your center and your balance during this time, but absolutely necessary. Okay, so let's talk about January. Now, as I do every month when I talk about the month and the vibration of the month, we take the month, which is January, which is a 1, and we add it to the universal year. So we take the 1 and we add it to the 11, and we get a 12 vibration. And 12 is a very significant number. It is, it's symbolic of perhaps as 12 signs of the zodiac. 1 and 2 equals 3, the Trinity. And so we do have a triune nature. This particular card is this card right here, which is the Hanged Man. And I want to really talk about the symbology of this card, and then we'll talk about where it sits on the tree of life, and then what it means astrologically as we move through the month of January 2018. So this card here, we have a person hanging upside down from a tree or a piece of wood. It depends on the deck that you see. He has his hands tied behind his back, and he has his feet in the sign of a 4. This is this sort of goes back to the 21-3 vibration, where we see the world vibration, where we see the person right side up with their feet doing the same thing. 4 is symbolic of the physical world. This is the card of reversal. It can feel when you're in this vibration that you are in limbo, that your hands are tied behind your back and there isn't much you can do. However, because this person is reversed, what this card requires us to do is to look at the situation from a completely different angle. So one of the things I often say to people when they're experiencing this vibration in their personal year, or within their major numbers, or even within a 9-year cycle, is that one of the best things you can do is hang yourself upside down. Find one of those inversion chairs, or find some monkey bars if you're physically capable of doing that without hurting yourself or breaking your neck. Sort of look at life from a different perspective. This person, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. You see, he has a halo around his head. And this really talks about getting information or connecting with the stream of cosmic consciousness. And so this card suggests to us that that's what we do as we move through the month of January, is to connect with spirit, connect with source, connect with the higher vibrational energies. There is a lot of information coming in. There will be a lot of downloading at this time. We are being required to evolve. We're in an 11 vibration for the year, and so we must raise our vibration. And the best way to raise our vibration is to connect with the higher vibrational energies and allow them to lead us. This is connected with the serenity prayer. God give me the strength, etc., etc. But I really should actually write that down so I can read it to you. But it's really about understanding what you can change and changing it, understanding what you can't change and accepting it, and then of course the wisdom to know the difference. And so as we move through January, despite what we see in the outside world and the changes and the all the intense energetic happenings that will be happening, we need to keep centered, and we need to understand that this is a time where we have to connect with higher spiritual sources in order to know the next step in our journey. So I think that's all I want to say about this card. Next thing we'll talk about is where this card sits on the Tree of Life. Okay, so we're back, and here we have the Tree of Life. And where does this 12-3 vibration, this vibration of the Hangman, sit on the Tree of Life? And actually it sits right here. And this is in the pillar of the future. Okay, this is the pillar of severity, this is the pillar of mercy, and this is the pillar of transformation, or the middle pillar. This deals with the past, this deals with the future, and this deals with the present moment. Now, incidentally, last year we were here, the 10-1 vibration was here in the pillar of the past, and so what we saw in 2017 was a lot of things from the past coming up. And we certainly saw that in America. We certainly saw things that perhaps we thought were resolved sort of rear up their ugly head. And I'm sure whatever country you live in, you could probably use an example in your own country, or even in your own life, where things from the past came up to be looked at and to be resolved and to be healed, and to be dealt with. And so this year, 2018, the 11 vibration is actually here along the path that connects Geburah, which is in the future, with Tiphereth, which is in the present moment. And so the path for 2018 is a path that connects the present moment to the future. So we're creating the present moment within the future. Now in January, it's really about the future. Okay, and remember, we have that 12-3 vibration, which means that we're not going to actually be doing anything. We're going to be observing. We're going to be opening up to the cosmic consciousness. And don't get frustrated if you feel like nothing is happening. A lot of things are happening if you're paying attention in the right place. So we have this 12-3 vibration right here on this path. It connects the Sephiroth Geburah with the Sephiroth Hod. Geburah is associated with the planet Mars. Hod is associated with the planet Mercury. So things going on with Mars and Mercury in the month of January are going to be significant. The other thing is that this path is actually ruled by the planet Neptune. Neptune is our unconscious. the consciousness of all things. Neptune is source energy. Neptune is unity consciousness. And so we have an opportunity to connect with all that is, that unity consciousness, that awareness that we're all connected. And I think that's going to be an important awareness to have as we move through the very tumultuous, the next decade perhaps, which is extraordinarily tumultuous. I know you're saying, whoa, didn't we do that? But it continues, okay? For many reasons, which of course we'll talk about as we move through the year and the years together. So we are having a connection here. And one of the things that's interesting is that Geburah is associated with the throat chakra. If we take the chakras and overlay them on the Tree of Life, we can see that the throat chakra falls right here on the path, on Geburah, Hesed, and the path in between, which incidentally is a Leo path, which is where the north node of the moon is. So we really are coming to speak up, have our voices heard. And then we have here, which is Hod, which is connected to the path between Hod and Netzach and Netzach. This path here is the Tower path, incidentally. The 16-7 vibration, the soul vibration of Donald Trump. So we can see that he's intimately connected with this whole thing. And this is the solar plexus. The solar plexus is personal will. The throat chakra is where we allow divine will to move through us and speak through us. And so we are connecting divine will with personal will. And so we may not know what to do because our hands are tied behind our back, and you know, what can we really do to affect things? I mean, there's these things that are going on in the world that we might feel powerless to change, and yet we are not powerless. We just have to find our core and our source and connect to that, because that will guide us. So divine will guides personal will, and we become channels of the divine will. Now, one of the things that I do is when I don't know what to do or what to say, I often open to Spirit and I say, okay, I'm not really sure what to say here, so I'm going to ask Spirit to come in and guide me and find the words that need to be said. And whatever the situation is, whether it's I'm trying to help somebody or I'm trying to, as a chiropractor, trying to ease somebody's distress and dis-ease. You know, sometimes we don't have all the answers and we need to go to the higher realms for them. And as far as I can tell, it's never failed me. And so I just put that out there. So we are really talking about sort of seeding the future through our connection to source energy this month, and connecting that throat chakra with the solar plexus, becoming channels for divine energy, and in that we can really affect and understand what we can affect, understand what we can affect, and then proceed from there. Okay, so all right, I think that's what I want to say about this on the Tree of Life. And I want to talk about a couple of pretty big things that are happening in January. There's a lot of activity, a lot of action. Most of it, a lot of it, I shouldn't say most of it, but a lot of it is us bearing witness. So let's talk about that next. So the first week of January really is quite an energetically intense one, and it starts with a full moon in the sign of Cancer. That occurs on January 1st. We have the moon in Cancer, and of course the sun is in Capricorn. This activates the axis of security, and we certainly feel insecure at this time. And so full moons are about awareness, and so something is brought to our attention, and so we need to sort of evaluate it. Now, whether we can take an action on this or not is another story, but certainly there'll be an awareness here. Now, what's interesting about this particular full moon is that, and I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. Okay, maybe you can. So we have a full moon with the sun in Capricorn and the moon in Cancer. This is actually a chart that is erected for Washington, D.C. So this is the area where this awareness is occurring, at least in America. Wherever you happen to live, you can put the full moon. If you want to see how it affects your country, you put it at the capital of the country. If you want to see how it affects your personal town or city, you put it the full moon erected to your city. If you want to see how it affects you, you take your chart and then you overlay this chart to see where it's going to affect your chart personally. But we have, right from the get-go, January 1st, we're looking at security issues. And we also have, so we have the sun, we also have the sun in Capricorn, we have Venus in Capricorn, we have Saturn in Capricorn, and we have Pluto in Capricorn. There is a lot of Capricorn energy, and that is not going to fade. This Capricorn energy is going to be strong well into 2020 and 2021, 2022. So we're going to be working with this Capricorn energy for a long time, and it really is about what is real and what is working and what is not working. And so these are all things that we will be looking at throughout the years, but we see it right up front. Now, there is actually a grand water trine, right out of my head, a grand water trine in this chart between the moon in Cancer, Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio, and then Neptune in Pisces. So this grand water trines are very emotional. We have contact with our deepest emotions, our deepest feelings. Water doesn't really know a boundary. Water just feels everything all at once. And so we can have this huge sense of feeling everything at once, becoming very empathetic. And so what helps us to sort of navigate these waters is the fact that the sun is part of this configuration, creating a kite pattern. And so the sun in Capricorn asks the question, and what are we going to do about it? So we can have all these feelings, and then the sun illuminates and says, what are we going to do about it? Okay, so that's the first. The 2nd of January, the planet Uranus changes direction and moves direct. Now, Uranus takes about 7 days before it actually changes direction. It slows down and then stops and then goes forward. That builds up a lot of energy. Of course, it doesn't really change direction. It just changes direction from our point of view on planet Earth. But what's especially important about this Uranus changing direction, besides the fact that it creates a lot of energy, explosive energy it can be, okay, is that Uranus is conjunct the planet Eris. Eris is in Aries. It's been in Aries, I think, since 1925 or 29, I'm not sure. But pretty much almost everybody on the planet, except for people over like 90-something, have Eris in Aries. And Eris was a goddess, the goddess of discord. She was actually discovered, this planet was discovered, I believe it was 2000, it's either 2003 or 2006. I'm sorry, I don't know that, but she was discovered, and she has been conjunct Uranus now for, in and out of conjunction to Uranus for about 2 years now. And so she's the pissed off female. She didn't get invited to the wedding. That's a whole nother story I won't get into now, but she tends to use the structure of society against itself to sort of blow things up. And so you have Uranus, the planet of blowing things up, conjunct the pissed off female, trine the galactic center. The galactic center at around 26 degrees of Sagittarius. And so not only is this revolutionary feminine energy expressing itself, it's also connected to our galactic inheritance, the center of our galaxy where all light emanates from. So this is a very powerful, high vibrational time, and this is the kind of energy that you can't necessarily make sense of. You're going to be downloaded with information, and it's going to take time, probably the rest of the year, to figure out what the hell just happened. So remember, we're in the vibration for the year is the Hangman. We must connect with cosmic consciousness and just sort of take it in and allow it to seed itself within our consciousness, and eventually it will come out. Very often my experience of Uranus is that it comes in and in like these packets of information, and when the time is right, that sort of storybook opens up and you see the whole story all at once. So that's my experience of Uranus, and I've heard other people describe it as that as well. So things are coming. We may not know what's going on right now, but we will. Okay? And then on January 3rd, Neptune makes a sextile to Venus. Now, I bring it up because the 12-3 vibration is a vibration connected to the planet Neptune. And that is the major aspect that's occurring with Neptune. And Neptune in a sextile to Venus, it's a 300-degree sextile, so it's time for progressive thinking. And it has to do with love and compassion. And loving our fellow man and woman, and having compassion for each other as we move through this very challenging yet ultimately freeing and hopefully time of becoming aware of something greater than our petty spats, and I mean petty spats even within countries, right? That's sort of like the old mental body breaking away, the old paradigm crumbling. And so if you're invested in the paradigm, then this is going to feel like the end of the world. If you're ready to release all of that garbage that no longer really serves our evolution, this is going to be a very exciting time for you. Okay, we have a little bit more to discuss. Hi. Okay, so I said that the planet Mars and the planet Mercury are both active, especially active in January. And so anything going on with Mercury or Mars is going to be very important. Now, on the 6th of January, something's happening to both Mercury and Mars. Mercury is actually making a trine to Uranus. I believe this is the third of three. The first one occurred on 11/25. The second one on 12/10, and now this is the last one. It's because Mercury went through a retrograde cycle in Sagittarius fire sign. And so we have a trine of understanding. We have a 240 trine, which means that things are being revealed. The harvest of whatever was planted at the time when these two planets were conjunct. That occurred, of course, in Aries, and it was seated back on 4/14/2017, and at that time it was conjunct Eris. And this is the openness to the influx of spiritual energies. And so we have this influx again of spiritual energies that began in April of last year through the seeding of these two planets, and now has come to fruition, and we will be seeing the fruits of that at this time. Simultaneous to that, on the same day, Mars, the other planet associated with the path, the Sephiroth connected by the path, the 12-3 path, Mars is conjuncting Jupiter. Now, this is a 2-year cycle. Mars has biennial cycles with all the planets, and so Mars makes a conjunction, and then it takes 2 years before it can come to the next conjunction. So this conjunction is occurring at 18 degrees of Scorpio. Mars is very powerful in Scorpio. So this is a further exploration of these issues of sexual wounding, power, sex and power and money, all of this, and the wounding around that. So we'll be seeing that come up for review and for healing. You know, everything comes up for a reason. It just doesn't come up to beat us over the head. When the time is right, the time it occurs that we have to deal with these issues, and we will continue to deal with these issues well into 2020. In 2020, it makes another conjunction, and that's actually occurring in the sign of Capricorn. And so another reason why Capricorn is a heavy-duty energy for the next at least 4 years, I think. 3 or 4 years, yeah. Okay, so we have the conjunction, and it's at 18 degrees of Scorpio. It says, a path in the woods brilliant with multicolored splendor. This Sabian symbol deals with somebody who can walk through the woods and see all the beauty that surrounds it. This is somebody who has walked this path before. And so for those of you, or those of us, I should say, well, I could say both, who have worked diligently on your spiritual practice, and it hasn't been easy, let me tell you, through these changes, you will see a fruition of that, and so taking the wisdom that you've already gained and garnered, and then further expanding that through this 2-year cycle. So we have opportunity to heal. Okay, and with opportunity to heal is also the opportunity to rewound. So we have to be very aware of our thoughts, our feelings, what's coming out of our mouth, especially self-talk, what we're saying to ourselves. So we just need to really be aware at this time on the planet. And remember, we're in an 11 universal year, and 11 is all about awareness. So there you go. All right, there's a little bit more I want to talk about. I'll be right back. Hi. So another day I want to talk about that's significant, and not necessarily significant because of its connection to the tree of life or the connection to Mercury, Mars, or Neptune, but the fact that this is something that occurs within a 13-year cycle. And so that is actually on January 15th, which is a Monday, Martin Luther King Day in America, the celebration of that, the Monday, where Jupiter and Pluto will be making a sextile to each other. Now this is a 300-degree sextile. It's a sextiles are always mentally stimulating, okay? This is an opportunity for progressive thinking. And when you're dealing with Pluto, which is power, and Capricorn, which is money and power, and you're dealing with Jupiter in Scorpio, this is also powerful. This is very, very powerful energies. Sextiles are opportunistic. We have an opportunity to really change and shift something at this time. And so this is part of, like I said, a 13-year cycle that began in 2007. At that time, these two planets came together in the 29th degree of Sagittarius. And that was after years of Pluto being in Sagittarius and Jupiter being a year in Sagittarius. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. So it was a very powerful conjunction in 2007. And now we have an opportunity to shift things and be more progressive and work toward the common good with these energies. So it will be interesting to see what we can accomplish at this time. Now there's all kinds of other energies going on at the same time, so but this is a larger cycle, and we will have an opportunity. Let's not waste it. Okay, let's work for the common good. I know I said we're going to have our hands tied behind our back, etc., but we can still have our voice heard. Remember, the throat chakra is activated at this time, so we do need to have our voices heard. Perhaps that's all we can do at this time, but that is important. So that's going to be a very important point, and I think pretty amazing that it is on Martin Luther King Day. All right, I'll be back. So another potent and important day is actually January 16th, and the reason for that is because it's a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. And what's especially significant is that Capricorn is at 27 degrees of, the new moon is at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Pluto in the United States chart is at 28 degrees of Capricorn, and so this is right on the USA's Pluto. And so this is the seeding of it's a new cycle, and so this is an opportunity for us to utilize our power in a different way. So I'll just put it out there. This is just a monthly cycle, but certainly an important time. And so Capricorn is about becoming an authority in your own life, and it is learning how to work with and deal with responsibility and power. And so even if the country is not showing responsibility around its power, you personally can do that. And the personal does become the public. And so, and really the only thing we can work on is ourselves anyway. And then we can, once we can work on ourselves and feel balanced within ourselves, then we can go out and we can work with others who feel balanced, and so on and so on and so on, like the old commercial says. And that's how we really have change. It has to be grassroots, and the rootiest, grassiest roots are the roots within your own heart. And so this is important for each one of us to practice responsibility and how to be responsible and how to mature and how to stop blaming other people for the situation we're in. We all have a hand in where we're at, and we have to figure that out and then work from there. Okay, and then the other thing, on January 24th, Mars squares the degree of the eclipse back in August 21st, the 29 degrees of Leo. And so we are, or is it 28, 29? This is a point, and this is going to be something big will come as a result of this. So Mars squaring the degree of the eclipse back in August. So we're going to hear something about that. And then, of course, the next day it moves into Sagittarius. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the last full moon of January. And this month, January, is a blue moon. We have blue moon. We have a super moon on the 1st. We have a super moon on the 31st, and it's also an eclipse. So this is the start of eclipse season. It's a south node eclipse. It requires us to let go of something, and it occurs at 12 degrees of, the sun is at 12 degrees of Aquarius, the moon is at 12 degrees of Leo. This is along the axis of love. And so there is an awareness. What do we need to release? What do we need to let go of? The south node is in the sign of Aquarius. It's about letting go of trauma. The north node is in the sign of Leo. Before we can move into love, we must let go of the trauma. And this is part of this eclipse. Now, there's a lot more to say about the eclipse, and I could go on, but I do have to keep this somewhat timely. So I hope you enjoyed what I showed. I will be doing, I think this year I'll be doing weekly, perhaps, readings instead of daily. I'm still working on that. I still haven't decided yet, even though it's only a couple of days away. But I hope you enjoyed this, and if you would like a reading from me, if you'd like to see how your tree of life lines up with your chart and your numbers, I can do that for you. I can be reached at theseedsoftransformation.com, Facebook page, The Seeds of Transformation Healing Center, or my personal Facebook page, Victoria Skirbo. I do have a store on my website, The Seeds of Transformation. If you would like a Kabbalah soul reading, which has the astrology, the Kabbalah, and the numerology, you can purchase it right there, and we can get started on your own path to your own life purpose and your own soul's path. Have a great month, and I'll see you again in February. Ciao.